What is happening, YouTube? My name is Johnny. You've tuned into Rules for Rebels, and today we're talking cryptocurrency. In today's video, I'm going to be asking for some audience engagement. I'd like some participation from you guys. Without your participation, the whole premise of this video is just really kind of stupid. Please help me out and drop a comment. I don't care how experienced or unexperienced you are in the cryptocurrency space. I think everybody's opinion adds some value. So here's what I'm looking to do in this post. 5 days ago, I had made a post on Steemit, and I had basically asked the Steemit community, if you had to assess Bitcoin and the crypto space in 3 bullet points, what would they be? So you guys can kind of put your own spin on this, but if you want, we have a ton of new people rushing into the crypto space, right? I think there was a day last week or within the past 2 weeks that Coinbase had over 100,000 new members sign up. I'm guessing on an average day it might be 10,000, maybe tens of thousands, but 100,000 new people in one single day. That's just crazy. A lot of new money flooding into the space and a lot of people who are new to Bitcoin. And in cryptocurrencies in general. So we'll take this one of two ways. You can either offer 3 bullet points in terms of like 3 things I wish I knew when I first got into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. 3 things that I had a hard time wrapping my head around when I got into cryptocurrencies, or what I was kind of going after and kind of what my points are about is if you had to wrap up like the current cryptocurrency and Bitcoin environment and everything going on right now, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, right? There's a lot of new money flooding in. Bitcoin futures are going to be traded on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We're starting to get a lot more institutional money into the space. Altcoins are falling. Bitcoin's forking like crazy. First, we had Bitcoin Cash August 1st. Then we had Bitcoin Gold November. I forget what it, or I'm sorry, October. I forget what it was. Maybe the 16th or something like that. We have Segway 2 happening right around the corner here. If any of you guys are wondering exactly when it's going to happen, I know some people were kind of blindsided when Bitcoin Gold forked before they were expecting it to happen. The way that these forks happen, they're typically planned at a certain block size. So while people can estimate the date that it's going to happen, if more transactions are taking place or more blocks are being filled, the fork could happen either sooner than expected or later than expected. If you Google Segway 2x countdown, there are some websites that kind of calculate the blocks to be mined and kind of give you more of an exact date if you want to keep up with this. But we've gotten kind of sidetracked. So anyhow, I really just kind of wanted you guys to throw out 3 bullet points of if you had to wrap up everything going on in the crypto space in 3 bullet points, what would they be? You guys know I tend to be long-winded, so of course I couldn't keep my 3 bullet points to like 1 or 2 sentences. Mine are kind of long. I hope to get more audience participation involved on Steemit, and the only guy I can count on Steemit, man. Steemit, I used to be really enthusiastic about it. I mean, I'm already creating content on YouTube and blogs, so I may as well repost it on Steemit, but I'm not nearly as excited about Steemit as I once was. I mean, just look at here. I just don't get the engagement that I really wish for. The one guy I can always count on, Brian Phobos. Guys, check out Brian Phobos on YouTube. He's a great YouTuber. He posts on Steemit as well. He's killing it on Steemit. And he's just a really great guy. Been very helpful to me ever since I've been on there. And I can always kind of count on him to kind of comment on my posts and things like that. So I'll start with mine. So if I had to wrap it up into 3 points, number 1, I said forks are interesting. In the earlier days, just the talk of a fork brought in serious FUD. FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and it drove down prices. These days, it seems like money comes rushing in the hopes for quote-unquote free money, and it actually drives the price up. I was surprised to see Bitcoin trade sideways leading into the Bitcoin Cash and rise dramatically leading into Segway. I'll be very curious to see if Bitcoin rises or falls after the fork. Previously, I would have expected a rise as it would mean the end of FUD. However, in this scenario, it actually seems to be the opposite. It seems to be enthusiasm leading up to the fork. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it drop off after the November fork. Things are changing every day, but as it stands right now, Bitcoin Segway 2x is refusing to employ replay protection. They're essentially telling the Bitcoin we've all known forever, Bitcoin Core, they're essentially telling them we're the real Bitcoin. We're not going to employ it. You want to employ replay protection? You do. So unless somebody employs replay protection, to my understanding, both coins can't survive. So one's going to have to die off. Keeping that in mind, and I kind of talk about this. Actually, you know what? I'll just leave that for the for my next point because that's kind of what we're about to get into. But yeah, it's kind of interesting the direction forks are going now. We have a Bitcoin Silver that's supposedly happening later this month. Nobody's really been able to access their Bitcoin Gold. But let's get into point two. It seems Segwit 2x may not even happen. Support is lessening. I'm hearing about people leaving the project. And at the time I wrote, I'm very tempted to sell my futures for $1,200. Previously, I'd be hesitant to do so, worrying about an unlikely but potential flippening, and would have hated to have sold off the wrong coin. So let me delve a little bit more into that for any of you guys who don't understand. Now, first off, on HitBTC, there may be some other exchanges like YoBit. I think HitBTC is probably one of the more reputable exchanges. I don't necessarily trust them as much as I trust Coinbase, Gemini, and say Bittrex for altcoins. But I do think HitBTC is a pretty reputable, pretty reliable site. They've handled previous forks well, and I'm thinking about sending some of my Bitcoin over. And basically, even though Segwit 2x doesn't exist yet, you are able to, if you put your coins on the site, sell your futures. Now, at the time I wrote this 5 days ago, futures were trading at $1,200. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're trading at $1,500 or $1,600 right now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pause the video and go over there and take a look. Okay, so right now we're over on coinmarketcap.com, and as you can see, the futures price for Segwit 2x, which again, just to be clear, doesn't exist yet. Basically, if you send your coins to an exchange and let them hold them, and the reason you have to do that is because you could say, okay, I'll sell you my futures, and then you sell the futures, and then when the fork actually happens, you refuse to give them your Segwit 2x. Obviously, they can't take what doesn't exist, so you're essentially having to give them your Bitcoin to kind of hold in escrow just to make sure that you have to, you know, basically they'll split the futures, give those futures to whoever bought them, and then they'll give you back your traditional Bitcoin, right? Now, it normally says what markets you can trade futures on. Let's take a quick look here. HitBTC, X rates, I'm not familiar with that one. So it looks like HitBTC is like one of the only places that you can sell your futures right now, and you can sell them for $347. If we go back and look at the chart, I think it was up close to, let's see, green is the dollar price. So it looks like slowly, I can't get a deposit there. Price, oh, it looks like at one point it was $2,100. Anyhow, as you're seeing, the futures prices for Segwit 2x are slowly declining. To me, this signals people are less enthusiastic. People are less likely to think that it's actually going to wind up going through and happening. And furthermore, again, unless one of these sides employs replay protection, one of these chains is going to essentially die out or get killed off. Now, more than likely, the Bitcoin that we've all known is probably going to wind up winning out in this battle. Now, keep in mind, unless one side employs replay protection, in which case the other coin would become an altcoin, there are going to be no free coins, right? There's no free money. There's no free coins happening here. So if Segwit 2x gets killed off, it's not going to be like Bitcoin Cash. You're not going to get any free money. So if you strongly believe that Segwit 2x is going to die out, if that's your belief, it's eventually going to be worth nothing. So you may as well cash it out right now and collect $1,396, $1,347. I'm very strongly thinking about doing that. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger yet. I probably won't do it with all my Bitcoins, but I'm probably going to send at least a coin or two over there, and make myself a quick $2,600, $2,800, whatever it is. Totally off topic, but we see. I think I told you guys can check out my video. I made a video the other week about how I attended the Damon John. I forget what they call success building seminar or whatever. It's I attended the free one. It's like a $2,000 upcharge. Now I see Kevin O'Leary, Mr. What do they call him? Mr. Wonderful, is actually having his own little seminar. So I'll be curious to see if Mark Cuban and the rest of the Sharks join the fray as well. But I may wind up attending this one. I think there's one in Naperville, one in Chicago, one in Oak Brook. There's a few of them all around. So I may wind up checking that out. That's totally besides the point and totally off topic. But getting back to the Segwit 2x futures, I will link to where HitBTC. Where you can actually go up, where you can actually sign up, send your Bitcoins over there, and sell your futures. Let's head on over here. So lastly, let me talk really quickly about the flippening. So what a flippening is, or the idea of a flippening, again, unless somebody employs replay protection, one of these coins is going to die out. So what a flippening would be is if Segway 2x winds up winning out over Bitcoin, Bitcoin dies off, or maybe they decide to employ replay protection. At that point, they essentially become an altcoin. So in that scenario, which I think is very, very unlikely, if you were to have sold your Segway 2x coins for $1,200, what potentially happens is the Bitcoin that you hold today and that you've always known as Bitcoin, that one maybe becomes worth $1,200. The Segway 2x basically takes the spot of Bitcoin and becomes worth 7,000, and you essentially traded what was 7,000 in value for only 1,200, and you wind up losing out. That would be the idea of a flippening. I think that is very unlikely to happen. So I guess it's kind of a gamble. If you think Segway 2x is going to die out, you're better off sending your Bitcoins over to hit BTC, selling the futures, and collecting some free money. If you want to play it safe, I would just sit back and wait to see how this fork plays out. Lastly, number 3, altcoins are insane right now. I think we knew money would leave altcoins and go into Bitcoin, but I didn't expect it to be as dramatic as it has been. I've been dollar cost averaging, but I wish I had waited longer to start buying in. I've been slowly buying in for a few weeks. I've been surprised by a handful of altcoins which have held their own and even risen, i.e. Vertcoin, rise for a short period of time, and even Lisk up until recently. I've been surprised to see how many have tanked. Really shocked by OMG's fall. OMG is Oh My's Go. McDonald's in, I think it's Thailand, recently started taking them. Metal, I'm into metal for like 10 or 12 or $13. Metal looks to be dead. It's under $5 and doesn't look like it's coming back anytime soon. I'm starting to lose hope on most alts. I think a handful will come back, but I feel many may never recover. And that said, it's often when things are the darkest that it's the best time to buy. So getting back into alts, I'm not as down on them as I was 5 days ago. When I wrote this, obviously things changed quickly in the crypto world. I do think a lot of alts are never going to recover, right? I think there's a lot of altcoins that have lost a ton of value and they're just never going to come back. I'm not saying they're going to die off, but coins that were $10 and have gone to $2, $3, $4, I think may stay at $2, $3, $4 either forever or for quite a long time, unless there's some like huge news about like recent developments with the coin or something along those lines. Another thing I've noticed, and Brian Phobos kind of commented on this below, is a lot of the earlier alts, right? A lot of the alts from 2012, 2013, a lot of the first altcoins that were ever out are starting to make a comeback. I don't know very much about Feathercoin, but I read something about Feathercoin coming back. I'm not sure if it died off and made a resurgence or if it's just making a resurgence in popularity. I was never really involved in that one back in the day. We're talking back like 2012, 13 when like Dogecoin or Doggy Coin, whatever they call it, was big back around those times. I do recall seeing like the Feathercoin logo all over the place back then, but it's just not one that I got personally involved with, nor one that I know that much about. I only have really 2 other comments to kind of read through here, and I will link to this Steemit post as well. So below in the description box, I'm going to link to both HitBTC, where you can sell your futures if you want to, as well as this post if you want to read it yourself. But I thought I would quickly read through Brian Phobos and also Ann Carley, who's pretty established on Steemit as well, and they both had some good insights as well. So Brian Phobos says, once the Bitcoin Gold and Segway 2x scenarios strengthened my dead cat bounce scenario was out the window, I myself have been one of the people dumping alts to move more into Bitcoin. So he's selling off alts to get into Bitcoin because he sees more potential for gains in Bitcoin than he does seeing like alts get a bounce. He says, going with the flow, I might try something radical though. Like you, I might sell my Segway 2x futures on HitBTC. I might also run back into Steem, Litecoin, and Monero a week before the fork, or I might do a combination of these scenarios. I'm sitting on a lot of Steem right now. Like I'm sitting on like $2,000-$3,000 worth of Steem, and that's just in my wallet, right? That's not even in addition to what I have in Steem and Steem Power on the actual Steemit platform. Steem's kind of turned into a turd, quite frankly. I'm a little bit frustrated with Steem. The site has been a little bit glitchy lately. I'm just not as enthused about it. I'm not making as much money on there. The coin's been down for a while and hasn't bounced back like it normally does. So I'm a little bit bummed out on Steem. I love Litecoin. Litecoin is probably my favorite coin, maybe even ahead of Bitcoin, even though it is frustrating how it kind of sits flat. Monero, I'm actually down 50 or 60 bucks on Monero. A buddy of mine encouraged me to buy it at 140, 150. It's been down to, 70, 80, 90. It's recovered a little bit. It's hovering around 100 bucks, which isn't terrible. I think Monero is going to trade kind of flat. I mean, it might get a little bit of a bounce after the fork, but really Monero is just another currency coin, right? It's another Bitcoin, another Litecoin, and it's not as big of a name as those. The one thing it does have going for it is anonymity, right? It's a privacy coin, but right now there are no good deep web drug marketplaces, so there's not a lot of places to where that privacy is really valuable because there's not a lot of places to spend it. And then also, back when the IRS talked about tracking people's cryptocurrency purchases and behaviors, there was Monero and a lot of the privacy coins, Navcoin, all those got a big bounce, and then it seemed to be kind of forgotten about. So I almost feel like we need the IRS to start like cracking down on cryptos or make an announcement about how they're tracking our crypto gains, and then I think you're going to see Monero and these privacy coins like Dash and Pivx and others get a big bounce. Pivx, another one I got involved with. It's not doing much. It did have a little bit of a bounce yesterday. Anyhow, he goes on to say I might do a combination of these scenarios. Number two, some of the rise in alts totally surprised me. That's what I was just talking about a minute ago. He says old school 2013, 2014 altcoins rose from the dead like Vertcoin, Grost, Monacoin, and seemingly at an odd time because most alts were dumping for BTC. I also noticed that too, right? It's weird the alts that we are seeing catch a nice bounce. And then number three, he says there was a day recently where Coinbase added 100,000 new accounts, and I'm guessing they're averaging tens of thousands a day on a normal day. This is unreal. Even if people are buying a few $100s worth, it's a ton of capital coming in. I'm anticipating new Bitcoin forks to probably be announced soon as well, but we will see. I don't know if this will cause a hard tanking of the price coming up, or if it will just keep being events like this that keep people in the game. There is one thing for sure, because of these events with the forks, etc., this run has gone a lot longer than I thought. So he's saying that the price is actually high because of forks, which is kind of an interesting thought. Again, Ann Carly says, number one, the upcoming forks is fueling the bullish run of Bitcoin, plus some good news on the side, e.g. CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, will cater to Bitcoin's China ban expiring. Bitcoin number two, Bitcoin Cash is also doing well, might even be a good backup just in case Bitcoin upcoming fork becomes its apocalypse. Bitcoin Cash is going crazy. Last I checked, it was up to like 650. A couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, you could have picked it up for, I think, maybe even as low as 180. And number three, buy altcoins. They are undervalued right now. That's kind of a sentiment a lot of people have been echoing. That's something I've been kind of saying all along. I thought there was more upside in buying cheap altcoins than there was Bitcoin going up, but I don't think any of us really anticipated the run from 5,000 up to 7,600. And while a few altcoins have done well, the majority haven't. Even as I started buying into altcoins, I knew I was doing it too early, right? Like leading up to the fork, I started buying probably over a month early, and I knew they'd continue going lower and lower and lower. But I was like, whatever, I'll start dollar cost averaging in. Now, even though some alts are getting a bump, I'm down so much on them that I'm still down money, so I'm just going to have to sit back. I'm still buying a few select altcoins, but for the most part, I'm kind of taking a step back from alts and maybe looking to drop some that I'm either even on or not down that much on and getting back into Bitcoin. Again, guys, I know this has been kind of a long video. The main point of this video was I wanted this video to be kind of a resource for you guys. So drop your 3 bullet points as far as like, if you had to summarize everything going on in the crypto space right now, if there were any 3 big pieces of advice you had to give, etc., drop that in the comment section below. I think it'll be helpful to others. And I always like hearing people's opinions as well. Just a friendly reminder, never make a purchase based on what one single person's saying or one person's opinion. But I do think it's good to hear opposing views. It's good to get ideas from other people that you can look into and research further for yourself. So, I'm kind of getting hoarse here, still kind of getting over this cold, so I'm going to cut the video short, but please help me out. Please participate. Please help out your fellow YouTubers. Drop 3 bullet points below with, you summarizing up the crypto space right now, giving advice, or helping out the newbies. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Ring that bell for updates and notifications, and I will catch you guys on the next one.